Hey fams, welcome back to my another video. So this is the 2015 MacBook Pro. Well, my bad. This is the only early 2015 13-inch MacBook Pro. And in this video, I'll be just reviewing this MacBook Pro and just suggest you whether you should buy this or probably not. So without further ado, let's go. Alright, so as you can see, this is my early 2015 13-inch MacBook Pro. And let's start off with the design and the chassis. So as you can see, with the new modern MacBook Pro, this is just the the chrome design. There's no longer any that glowing Apple logo, but in this 2015 MacBook Pro, it still exists. This is actually the last MacBook Pro that features the classic MacBook design from the Steve Jobs era. And let's move on to the ports. So from the left, you only get the MagSafe 2 ports. Yes, this thing has MagSafe 2, which my M2 doesn't have. Wow. Alright, anyway, so we got the MagSafe 2 ports, Thunderbolt 2 ports, of course the USB 2.0 and 3.0 ports, and of course the headphone jack. And moving on to the right, we have another USB 2.0 or 3.0 ports, the HDMI port, and of course this is the SD card reader, I guess. I have no idea what is this. Well, we'll check out this MacBook Pro later with the more detailed specifications. So, alright, moving on. Alright, by the way, I'm just going to show you how this early 13-inch 2015 MacBook Pro charger looks like. So this is the charger for it, the original one. Apple logo here, and let's check out the wattage. It supports 60 watts of charging support. 60 watts, alright. Of course, you get the classic hook here to tidy up your cables. Of course, for this MacBook Pro, you get the MagSafe 2 charger, and yeah, it's very damaged as you can see here. Yeah, this is very classic Apple thing, so I'm not surprised about that. And yeah, by the way, this MagSafe charger is the MagSafe 2 charger, which is actually the same as the more modern M series MacBooks, except the more modern M series MacBooks, they support higher wattage of charging. Alright, now moving on, let's turn on my 2015 13-inch MacBook Pro. So let's go ahead and open this up. And power it up. If it even turn on. Oh yeah, I forgot, this MacBook Pro doesn't have any internal batteries. It only relies on the external power. So because of that, since there is no battery, the performance is going to cut by half, I think around 50%. So if you are watching this video, don't be so excited for the performance on this MacBook Pro in 2025. But if I got the new battery replacement and I install it on my MacBook Pro, then I'll be reviewing again in the future. So stay tuned. Plug this in. Turn it up. This is the USB to power up the fan, because I know this MacBook Pro is going to run very hot. So let me just plug this in. Wait, where is it? Yeah, here. Alright, now this is my lock screen for my MacBook Pro. For this MacBook Pro, yeah, as you can see, it has the very large clock here. So that means this is not running this last official software or any official software that's supported on this MacBook Pro. I actually patched this MacBook Pro to Mac OS Sequoia 15. So yeah, that is still going to slow this MacBook especially without the battery. Right, fams, this MacBook Pro is already in its home screen. So as you can see, there is nothing running in the background, of course, except for the Finder, but anything else is closed. Let's launch the launchpad. As you can see, it's very smooth. Yep, it's very smooth, swiping left and right. Yeah, it's also very smooth. Navigating through the docs is also very smooth, but of course I can see some frame drops there. But yeah, so far it's still usable actually. Very nice. Alright, now let's just go to about this Mac section. Alright fams, we got our specifications. So this MacBook Pro is the base model one with 2.7 GHz dual-core Intel Core i5 5th generation. And of course with the Intel Iris Graphics 6100 with 1.5 GB. And of course only 8 gigs of RAM, so it's also a bit limited in 2025. But I'm not going to use MacBook Pro for heavy tasks, so it's still going to handle it. Of course with a replacement battery, because it's running very badly without the battery. Of course with the Mac OS is running Sequoia. I already patched it to Mac OS Sequoia. So let's go to more info section and let's check out the storage and the display. Alright, let's look at the display here. This is the 13-inch by the resolution of 2560 by 1600, which is actually on par with my MacBook Pro M2 model, and of course my 2020 13-inch 4 Thunderbolt Intel MacBook Pro. Same resolution, but this one doesn't have True Tone unlike my another two MacBook Pro. Yeah, I'm sorry about that. Then moving on to the storage, of course it's running on the SSD with 256GB of SSD. This is the original SSD. I haven't upgraded yet to any other third parties one. This is the original Apple's SSD. Alright, now let's go ahead and open up Safari. Alright, here it is. Let's maximize it and turn on private browsing or incognito. Yeah, it's a bit laggy. Alright, here it is. So let's just go ahead and check out this MacBook Pro specifications. Wow, I really love this scissor switch keyboard. It's actually, when you're typing this, it's actually better than my M2's Magic keyboard. And of course, the butterfly keyboards. This is one of the best keyboards that I ever used. But of course, ThinkPads are still better compared to Apple's one. But I can say that in Apple's ecosystem, the scissor switch keyboard is the best. So of course, let's just go ahead and search up the specs. Alright, here it is. Alright, now we are in our specification for this 13-inch MacBook Pro 2015. So let's look at the display. Of course, this is the Retina display, but it doesn't support True Tone. And moving on, this is the 13-inch one, as the name suggested. And of course, with LED backlit and IPS LCD technology, with the resolution of 2560 by 1600. Of course, with 227 pixels per inch, and with 300 nits of brightness. In 2025, 300 nits is yeah, you know it. But in 2015, during the era, 300 nits is already considered,
bright already for at least laptop screens or monitors. And of course, this one doesn't support P3, it supports the standard sRGB, which is actually the same technology used on the iPad 9, 10, and 11 generation, and of course the older ones. And of course, mine is the base model 2.7 GHz, but mine has the 256 GB of storage. And you can configure it or top up to either of these specifications. And of course, mine has the base model 8 GB of 1866 MHz of LPDDR3 memory. Yeah, my MacBook Pro 2020 has LPDDR4X memory, which actually the speed is actually a lot faster. But for 2015, yeah, you can't expect much. And of course, as I said, mine is the 2561. And these are the chassis specifications. And moving on to the graphics, mine is the Intel Iris 6100. Of course, this is the standard one, you can upgrade it. And of course, Thunderbolt HDMI, which is actually a plus for this MacBook Pro, unlike my newer MacBook Pro that only has Type-C ports. And of course, camera, just like my M2 MacBook Pro, which only has 720 resolution. This thing also has 720 resolution, unsurprisingly. And of course, these are the port selections for this MacBook Pro. And look at how many ports it has compared to the M2 one. Yeah, it's speechless. And of course, some other fine details, I'm not going to cover it here. As I said, you can just check it out yourself by visiting this website. So without further ado, let's go ahead and move on to YouTube. Should I do some speed test on this device? Yeah, let's go ahead and just install Blackmagic, and I'll be back after the installation is completed. Alright, it's already been installed and it's already been opened up by itself automatically. And I will say that the installation process is actually very fast for this MacBook Pro, especially with its age. But let's go ahead and test out the write and the read test of this original 256GB Apple SSD. Let's go. Alright, we got 669.3 megabytes per second for the write speed, and for the read speed is slightly higher with 957.2 megabytes per second. Yeah, very slow in today's standard, especially compared to the newer MacBooks with the very impressive write speed and the read speed. But as I say, I'm not going to use this MacBook Pro for any purpose, just some basic ones. So yeah, it's still usable, I guess. Hopefully it is. And by the way, let's check out the settings. It's default, 5GB is selected. So let's now only move on to YouTube. I'm just going to play some 4K footage here. And despite its age, I can say the display still looks very crispy and very clear in 2025. But without further ado, let's just play this video. Best for OLED. Oh yeah, free skip. Without you have to watch. Oh my god, this is running very slow. Alright, whatever, despite its age, we are still going to increase the resolution from 240 resolution to, of course, HD resolution. And yeah, it's not responding. Oh my god. Alright, 1080 HD footage, let's go. Come on, give us the vibe. Gain some aura. You can do it. Oh no. Is it crash? No, it's not crash. Is it? Oh my god, that frame drops is... Oh my god. Yeah, that's why you really need a battery for your MacBooks. If not, it's going to run in this ridiculous speed. Even though the price is, yeah, questionable high. Ridiculous high. Come on, let's go. Alright, 480. This is the most minimum requirements. Alright, enjoy with only 480 resolution. Video playback. Alright fams, we got Roblox installed on my 2015 MacBook Pro. So let's go ahead and start it up. Alright fam, so after the gameplay, what do you think of the performance of this MacBook Pro without a battery installed? Well, please comment down in the section below. I'm looking forward to that. But anyway, in conclusion, should you buy this 2015 13-inch MacBook Pro or the mid 15-inch 2015 MacBook Pro? I would say yes, just go ahead. If you can get it for less than 300 USD with a very good battery health or a very good battery condition, and you're not going to use this MacBook Pro for heavy tasks like web development, 3D development, heavy video editing, you're just going to use this MacBook Pro for web browsing, office tasks, office projects, web documents, PDF, then I would say yes, just go for it. However, if you really need this MacBook Pro for those heavy tasks like 3D rendering, 3D development, why should you buy the 2015, the 10 years old MacBook Pro in 2025? Yes, it's a MacBook Pro with a very classic Apple logo, but it's actually it's going to show its age. As you can see, without battery, macOS Sequoia is running very badly in this MacBook. So I would say if you really need demand on those heavy tasks, I would say just go and get the M1 MacBook Air, or better, the M2 series, or the M1 Pro, or the M1 Max one. However, in 2025, M1 is a least requirement, at least for Apple laptops, in any general usage. And you also get the MacBook Pro for around $300 or higher, but that will also last you for quite a long time compared to the 2015-inch one. So yeah, that's it for this video fam. Thanks for watching, and I will see you in the next one. Alright, peace out. Oh yeah, Apple, please bring back the glowing Apple logo, please. I really love this. Yeah, good for flexing, just like your touch bar. Yeah!